Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Great. Really glad to see everybody out here on Memorial Weekend 2022. We've been stuck in our houses for a couple years. I was really excited when Ronnie got in touch with me and said that the Breaks was really going to try to kick off some tourism this summer, and asked me would I be a part of it, and I was tickled to death to get to come to the Breaks. My name is Mitch Whitaker. I work at the Letcher County Extension Office over in Whitesburg, and we have a very unique program at our Extension Office that we take in wild birds of prey, hawks and owls and eagles, and when these animals get injured, the goal of our program is to see if we can't get these animals back out into the wild. It's not always the happy ending that we'd like for it to be. I think our program has been going now about 12 years, and in those 12 years we've rescued about 150 birds. Out of those 150 birds, guys, we've only been able to return just about 30 to the wild. And that's because it's so hard on these guys to survive, and once they get injured or hurt, it's pretty much downhill for them. These animals are wild animals. How many of you guys got dogs and cats at home? Everybody's got dogs and cats at home. You take care of them, you feed them, you leave them water, you give them shelter, you clip their nails, comb their hair. I bet some of you even put clothes on them, do you? Well, that's not a wild animal, that's a domesticated animal. You provide everything it needs. These wild animals that we have here today, guys, actually take care of themselves. They're usually born pretty early in the springtime. These animals grow really, really fast. By the end of summer, they're pretty much as big as their parents. But they're not as smart as their parents, and their parents kick them out, and they have to take care of themselves. And that's why it's so hard for them to survive. 4 out of 5, I want you to remember that today, 4 out of 5 of these birds don't survive their first winter. All it takes is just hitting a tree limb or a fence, and these guys, their winter is over. However, if they're able to make it through that first winter and survive a couple winters and become mature enough, they'll pick a mate. And once they pick a mate, their chance of survival goes up tremendously. I'm sure some of you married men would tell me here today that you'd have been long gone if it wasn't for your mate, right? Their chances of survival when 2 of them's out there, they're both out there looking for food, and if one of them can find something, then they both get to eat that day. So a lot of times, these mated pairs live much longer than the juveniles. 10 years is a long time for one of these guys to live out in the wild. However, in captivity, these birds can live up to 30 and 40 years. So that's to show you how hard it is for them to survive. I bring these birds their food every day, cut it up for them, and bring it right to them. So that's why these birds are able to live a little longer. Now, as I said, these birds are wild animals. What if I told you guys today that after the program, we was going to load everybody up in a bus, and we was going to go back over to Letcher County to Pine Mountain over there. Beautiful mountain, 3,000 feet above sea level. Takes about 20 minutes to drive up there. What if I took you guys up there and we drove out about 10 miles out on Little Shepherd Trail, and I opened up the door and said, everybody get out, I'll come back and get you in 2 weeks. How many of you think you could really survive out in the wild on your own for 2 weeks? It would be really hard because just setting you out just like you are, it's still getting cold up on that mountain. It would take you a couple you would need to build shelter. You're going to have water. It's going to be pretty tough on you to survive. But what if before I left you guys, I gave you some tools, some skills, some adaptations that might help you to survive? What if I actually gave you a tent, a blanket, a hatchet, some rope? Your chances of survival would go up tremendously. These animals that we have here today, guys, they have special tools and special skills that help them to survive. So what I'm going to do today, I hope I can demonstrate to you guys these survival tools that these animals have and how hard it is for them to survive. Before I get started, I'm going to need A volunteer about this tall. Okay, wait just a minute. I need somebody that's not scared of animals. Okay. I need someone that doesn't care to get up here in public. You may have to speak. Okay. Yeah, okay. I need someone too that's had all their shots in case they get bit by something today. You still got some? Still got some? Do you want to come down? Let's give her a little encouragement, guys. What's your name?
Kaylee.
Kelly? Kelly, thank you so much for being our our volunteer here today. Now, Kelly, what we're actually going to do, we're going to turn you into an owl. Not really. We're not going to turn you into an owl, but we're going to give you all those tools that owls have just in case you had to go out into the wild. Are you willing to help us? Okay, good. You're going to do great. Now, before we get started, we're going to want you to be an owl, so we really don't want you to talk to us in a human voice. We want you to talk to us in your best owl voice. So before we get started, let's hear your best. Go ahead, just try it.
No.
Let's have it. Come on, give us a good one. Go ahead, you do great. Try it. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get her some survival tools, and then maybe she'll feel better. Let's see. Let me see what I've got in my tool bag for survival tools. Let's see. Oh, you'll need this, I'm sure. Just put it right over your head. You're doing great. Okay. All right, turn it where banks here. Okay, guys, we're going to give her a camouflage outfit. How do you think a camouflage outfit will help her? What do you think? Yes, help her blend in with the surroundings. You know, there's lots of animals that would like to eat Kelly. There's coyotes and wolves, and if they could get a hold of her, they would eat her. So maybe this camouflage outfit of different colors and different shapes, turn around. All she has to do is turn around, and she has a completely different camouflage outfit. So all she has to do is just turn around on a branch, and she can look completely different and blend in with a different background. Turn back around. I forgot to tell you guys too, Kelly doesn't actually eat grass or strawberries. You know what she eats? She eats mice, lizards, snakes, all kinds of live animals. But guys, that's part of her survival tools. She's able to eat these animals and get all the liquid, all the hydration that she needs to survive. So just her diet, guys, is a big survival tool. When it gets winter time and the other animals are trying to find something to drink and the ponds are froze, she'll be able to still get food, water from the animals that she eats. All right, let's see what else. I know what else you need. And as she said, if we seen anything funny today that we could laugh if we thought it was funny. There we go now. I think this will help her a whole lot. The first thing we notice is those big discs around her eyes. But that's not actually part of her supervision. That's part of her super hearing. Her ear holes are not on the side of her head like us humans. Her ear holes are right under her eyes. So when she hears a sound, she looks in that direction, and she's able to turn these discs sort of like a satellite dish and hear and amplify those sounds. Just like us humans putting our hand up to our ear so we can hear better. She does the same thing. I read in a book where it said she could hear a mouse run under the snow while she was still up in the tree. So that's pretty amazing. Super hearing is probably one of her biggest survival tools. She also has supervision. She's able to see 10 times better than we can see. And she's also able to see in the nighttime. That's because Kelly is a nocturnal animal. She comes out in the daytime too, but she does most of her hunting and most of her activities of the nighttime because she has such an advantage over the other rodents and animals in the nighttime. So supervision and super hearing, guys, is a big part of her survival. Let's see what else. Super hearing, supervision. She needs a supercilium too. You guys know what a supercilium is, don't you? Everybody's got one. We're just going to give her a real big one. A supercilium, guys, is nothing but a big eyebrow. Now, how is a supercilium or big eyebrows going to help her to survive? Any idea? What do you think? Yeah. Why do baseball players wear caps?
So they can see better?
So it can cover them. Even though she's a nocturnal animal, she'll still be out sometimes in the daytime, and maybe that can shade her eyes just a little bit. All right, let's see. Supervision. What else does she need, guys? She needs some wings, doesn't she? It just so happens we've got her some special wings. You just stick your arm. There you go. Let them do both of them. There you go. All right. Now these are not just ordinary wings, guys. These are special wings. They're made of special feathers. And it just so happens I've got two here. All of you won't be able to hear this, but some of you will. I've got a bird feather and an owl feather. The difference between these is the stealthiness that an owl has. If we can be quiet, some of you on the front may hear it. Let's listen to the sound one of these feathers makes. Now let's listen to an owl feather. What happened, guys? You can't hear it. These two feathers, one makes noise and one doesn't. The owl, where he flies through the night, and Kelly, these makes him completely silent when they're flying through the night sky. The reason is this one's like has a straight edge like an airplane wing, and when the wind goes over it, it creates turbulence and creates a sound. If we look at the owl feather under a microscope, it has jagged edges, serrated edges, which lets the air flow across it and makes it completely quiet. So with all of these tools, guys, it's really going to help her to survive. We got one more tool she needs. What is it?
Talons.
Talons. She needs some claws. You stand right there. All she needs is some needle-sharp talons. You're doing great, Kelly. Okay, guys, let's look at all the tools that we give Kelly that's going to help her to survive. We give her a camouflage outfit with two different colors so she can blend in with two different backgrounds. We give her supervision. We give her super hearing. We even give her a supercilium. She's got wings that flies that doesn't make any sound, and we give her needle-sharp talons. With all these survival tools, guys, do you think she has a better chance of surviving? Sure she does. But I want you to remember how many? 4 out of 5 doesn't survive each winter. Kelly, with all of these new survival tools, you think you're going to be able to survive? Give them a big hug. Guys, let's give Kelly a big round of applause for helping us today. You did great. You did great. I still think you could have did. And then just pull them off. They just Velcro. Guys, let's give her another big round of applause. Okay, guys, I think this would be a good time for us to go ahead and let's get one of these guys out and let's look and see if we can see these same survival tools and skills that Kelly had, okay? Now, when I get this guy out, remember, he's a wild animal. He's going to look and he's going to see 100 eyeballs looking back at him. He don't know whether to fly at you or fly away from you. These animals, it doesn't matter if I kept them 20 years. They will never, ever, ever, ever be a pet. If I was to turn one of them loose here today, even though it may have one wing or one eye and couldn't survive on its own, it would still run for the woods. So again, let's be as quiet as we can. I'm going to try to walk around so everybody can get a good look at them. Did you see that one, Jennifer, where one got away from me that night? It can't happen ever again. Uh-oh. All right, guys, this is one of our most common owls that we have here in the eastern United States. This is a barred owl, B-A-R-R-E-D. He's not a barn owl, B-A-R-N, which we usually say a lot of times. Hey, that looks like one of them old barn owls. Well, really, they're called barred owls because they have, you gonna hold it up there, they have a bar of feathers right underneath their neck that runs horizontal. It looks like a bar running across their chest, and that's how these guys get their name. They're one of the easiest owls for us to recognize. They have solid black eyes. Most owls have colored pupils, as you'll see with some of the other birds, but this guy has solid black eyes. Next, we notice his big pretty disc, just like Kelly had, and his ears are located just below him. So all he has to do is look in that direction, curl those feathers in, and he's able to have the super hearing. Some of you can probably see his needle-sharp talons. This guy does have some injury, so he will never be able to be released. And normally this guy would have to have been euthanized, but through our special programs, we're allowed to keep these guys and bring them out to programs and events like this. It's neat, isn't it, guys? Again, the barred owl, he's the easiest one for us to recognize. He's also the easiest for us to hear out in the woods. How many of you was listening last night and heard something go, ooh, 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 ooh? That was this guy. You'll hear him every night when you get out this time of year. It's easy to see these guys. He's one of our most common owls that we have, and he has all the survival tools. Even his camouflage outfit, as he turns around, is a completely different color than his front. Some folks ask sometimes, how can we tell the males from the females? You know, with the Kentucky Cardinal, we see the male, he wears a bright red color. That's a survival tool. He's actually a decoy, so when predators come around, he jumps out in his big red suit and draws the attention away so the predator will come to him. With birds of prey, both parents sharing the responsibilities of taking care of them, providing the nest and getting the food. So raptors look completely alike, males and females. You can't tell the difference by looking at them. You can only tell by weighing them. The females are usually about 25% heavier than the males. And that's sort of to help, I guess, maybe with the mothering part of it. She's there to make sure Dad doesn't eat the babies, you know. Our most common owl, barred. All right, I've got another bird that has a different survival tool I'd like to show you. Okay, guys, can anybody tell what kind of bird this is? How'd you know it was a red-tailed hawk? Actually, if you got to see this bird its first year of its life, it would be this big, but it actually wouldn't have any red tail feathers. Its first year of life, it has brown tail feathers. He's still this size, but he looks a whole lot different. And that's because these birds molt each year. They get a new set of feathers. So that's what the tarp's for. A lot of these guys, when they're their first year, they look completely different than they do once they start maturing. Some of the birds have one color of eye when they're first born, and as they get older, their eyes even change colors. A lot of them lose their colors of their chest. This guy has a lot of brown. If you've seen him when he was 1 year old, he was really white. So through the years, we can sort of tell how old these animals are by the colors they have and the colors of their eyes. This is a red-tailed hawk. They're very common here too. They're a very versatile animal. We see them from Canada to Mexico and from coast to coast. These guys have a very wide diet. They still have a lot of the tools and skills that Kelly and the owls have, but they don't rely so much on their hearing. These guys are more about speed and their supervision. These guys can see 10 times better than we can see. And their style of hunting, being high up in the air and diving down on their prey. A lot of times I get asked the question, what's the difference between a hawk and a falcon? Well, they're sort of like a racehorse and an old mule, we could say. The falcons, they're long and skinny. They go really fast. When you see them, their wings are always beating really fast. And they do go fast. You guys ever heard of the peregrine falcon? The fastest animal in the world. When it's diving after its prey, it's been clocked at speeds over 220 miles an hour. That's why these guys have some special skills. Now, the hawk doesn't go that fast, but a lot of times, guys, when he's diving after prey, he can reach speeds of 100 miles an hour easy, but he doesn't take off and go really fast. He's more like the old mule, a little sturdier built, and he just swoops down on his prey, while falcons are fast enough to catch him and catch him in the air. Falcons and hawks have special nostrils, special nose holes that helps them when they're flying. Has any of you guys ever stuck your head out of the window going down the road in the car? 55 miles an hour, you can hardly breathe. Could you imagine what it would be like trying to breathe at 220 miles an hour? These guys have special nose holes that allows them to still be able to breathe while they're making all those maneuvers and going so fast. These are among some of my favorite birds. Like I said, we see these guys a lot in the springtime, and we see them up in the sky, and they're making that whistling sound. How many of you guys have seen them in the spring whistling around? They're really not flying and looking for prey. They're up there. That's their easiest way of transportation. If this hawk took off and tried to fly to Elkhorn, he probably couldn't make it. His wings would get tired. But he can ride thermal pockets of air and glide. Oh, he'll be there in no time and not even beat a feather. So remember, this guy relies a whole lot on his speed and his supervision for his survival. Pretty birds, aren't they, guys?
Is he injured?
Yes. He actually had a wire went through his foot. This will give me an opportunity to tell about when we get birds in that there's a possibility that they can be rehabbed. Once they get back into shape, we just can't turn these guys back loose into the wild, and they've been sitting in a room for a month. They've lost all their muscle tone. So before we actually can release these birds, they have to prove to us that they can fly, and fly pretty strong. So we use falconry techniques. Falconry is a sport that we use these animals to hunt with, and what we do is we make them come for their food. They start out flying short distances, and then each day you increase it and you make the distance even further, and before you know it, you can tell if they're going to be strong enough. When we started training this guy, his foot got aggravated again, so we had to stop his training last year. So we're hoping his feet's healing up really good. We hope this might be one of those good stories. Good question. Yeah. Okay, guys, I've got another bird I'd like to show you that has a really neat survival tool. Easy, 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 easy. Does anybody know what this is? Turkey vulture, turkey vulture. Now, when we look at this guy for his superpowers, his eyes aren't very big, so it's probably not that. He does have a bald head, which I forgot to tell you guys that this guy doesn't eat strawberries or grass either. This guy eats dead animals. He eats carrion. So he doesn't really have to have the sharp talons. His animals are already dead. So his feet's a lot like a chicken. They don't have the big talons. He does have a crooked beak, but if we look really, really close, guys, he has a hole running completely through his nose. This guy's superpower is his sense of smell. This guy is able to, when an animal dies, when an animal dies, he's able to hone in on that smell. Sometimes when we see these birds flying, they're up in the sky and they're making big circles. They're honing in, they're circling around till they actually find that smell. I've read in books where these guys can smell dead animals 10 miles away. Can you all smell McDonald's 10 miles away? That's a very big survival tool that these guys have. They eat a lot of rotten animals. Sometimes they get bacteria and stuff on their wings. These guys are able to posture up in the sun, and where their wings are black, they actually are able to burn that bacteria and stuff off of their wings. So getting a suntan even helps these guys. This is our turkey vulture. I think he's so ugly he's pretty. What do you think? He has a red face. When he was a juvenile, he didn't have a red head. He actually has a black head. So we can tell a lot about their age, as we did with the other birds, what age he actually is. If you'll notice, they have about a 5-foot wingspan, 4 to 5, and we see these guys a lot of times up in the sky, and these guys do migrate as well. Pretty neat, isn't you guys? These are common here. These animals go north and south just like all the other raptors. All right, guys, I've got another bird I'd like to show you. Okay, guys, this next bird that we're going to get at is the American bald eagle. In the 1800s, guys, there was over 300,000 of these birds in Canada and North America and Alaska. In just 100 short years, by the end of World War II, their numbers had dwindled down to almost 500. We just about lost all these birds, guys, and it was due to there was no regulations. You could shoot one of these animals. The fishing industry, because the eagles love salmon off a well, these guys were actually shot a lot of times, and just to keep them from eating so much of the fish. Rewards was actually offered for anyone that could bring a claw in of an eagle because they were so detrimental to the fishing industry. By the end of World War II, Congress started passing laws that would protect these animals. In 1972, Congress passed the Migratory Bird Act, which meant it was now against the law for you to shoot, hunt, trap, eat any of these animals. And remember, as I said, it's so hard for them to survive. It wouldn't take but just one season opening up hunting owls that it wouldn't take long before we would lose these guys. So as I bring him out, guys, we can tell he has actually lost one of his wings. We'll keep him out as long as we can. Sometimes he gets pretty excited. So let's all try to be as quiet as we can and have your cameras ready. Guys, this is American Bald Eagle. We named him General Boone as we was bringing him back from Tennessee. We came through the Cumberland Gap in Middlesboro, and we were thinking about what kind of name we could give him. And we thought about Daniel Boone getting to see Kentucky for the first time when he come through the Cumberland Gap. He also came through the breaks here, so we thought a great name for this guy would be General Boone, since he's getting to see Kentucky now for his first time. This is a male, which means he's the smallest. The females will go about 20 pounds. This guy. Don't want to make him too mad. I think he looked at Johnny there for a second. This is a male, as I said. He weighs about 11 pounds. He is a mature bird. That's why he has his complete white head. When we first got him about 4 years ago, he had a brown head, sort of streaked. And each year it kept getting whiter and whiter and whiter till we were able to pretty much tell he was around 5 years old. It takes him 5 years to get that pretty white head we see. They're beautiful birds, aren't they, guys? I think we are starting to see them here at the breaks. I know they're on the Russell Fork River. We know that Boone is never going to be able to fly or be released, but we would like for him to wave at everybody. So, General Boone, give everybody a wave. Everybody get a picture? It's all right. Guys, each program we do, these birds come through our facility. Some don't make it through the night. Some stay with us for a long time. So if you've ever seen our program before, sometimes they're different just for the fact that we get different birds in. You guys are really in for a treat because we have a special bird that we don't see come through our center very often, and it's just because of our location. I think you can go pretty much about in any direction, you probably see more of them than we do here in the mountains. So I'd like for everybody to be really quiet and check out this guy. Come on. Come on, there you go. There you go. Look at you. Look at you. Isn't he cool, guys? This is a great horned owl. Notice his eyes are completely different. These guys are actually sometimes called tiger owls. Why do you think they're called tiger owls?
Because they're striped.
Yes. They've got stripes just like so. His camouflage outfit's really neat, isn't it? How do you think this guy's full grown? No, he's a baby. He's just about a month old. You notice all the fuzz that's still on his head? I can't get my hand clean. Look at that. Look at that big beak. Isn't that something? The unique thing about horned owls, guys, I read this in a book. I didn't just figure this out myself. These guys they can see the color blue. They're the only bird, it says, that can see the color blue. And they also don't have a very good sense of smell. That's why they're one of the few birds that will actually eat a skunk. Because I think if he could really smell that thing, he wouldn't eat it, you know. These have all the same survival tools that Kelly had, except he's got big old eyes. Look at him. Aren't they neat? This is a great horned owl. Now, if you stop by the office here in a couple months, this guy will be just a little bit bigger, and he'll have all of his feathers in instead of all his fuzz. This is going to be one of those happy endings to the story, because this guy just came to us as a baby and he was starved down, so all we have to do is just get him back up to health here for a couple weeks, and he'll be ready to go back out into the wild. So we're really lucky to get to see him today. We're just going to have him for a little while. The great horned owl. Guys, another question that I get asked a lot while I'm doing these programs is they say, how did you get started fooling with these birds and with falconry and stuff? When I was a little kid, about some of your fellows' age, I read a book called My Side of the Mountain. Has anybody read it? Awesome. Couple of. Well, when I read that book, it's about a little boy. He lived in the city. He ran away to the country, and he was able to survive on his own with him and a peregrine falcon. I just thought that was so neat when I was a kid, and I kept thinking about it through the years, and as I finally got older, I started reading more about him, learning more about them, and that's how I became to do this, was just got interested. And I'm sure some of you guys have favorite pets, turtles or penguins or whatever you like. The way you find out more about them, guys, is to read. So I always like to end my program with reading a book. This is one of my favorite books. I've read it to kindergartners, and I've read it to college kids. There's lots of good life lessons in it. I'm sure you'll like it. So it's everybody listen, and I'll hold the pages up so you can see the pictures. It's called Little Hoot, just like our little owl we had a while ago. It said, once upon a branch, there was a fellow named Little Hoot. Little Hoot was a happy little owl. He liked going to school, just like all you kids do. He likes going to school like all you kids do. He liked playing hide and go seek in the forest with all of his friends. He even liked it fine when Mama Owl said, it's time to practice. She said, let's practice pondering first. Let's all practice pondering. Next, she said, let's practice staring. She said, stare to the right, then stare to the left, then stare back to the right. She said, but there was one thing Little Hoot did not like. Bedtime. Oh. Because when you're an owl, he said, you have to stay up late. That's just the way it is. Little Hoot here, we can see him walking off the edge with his blanket. And he's sort of mad, and he says, all my other friends get to go to bed so much earlier than me. He said, why do I always have to stay up late and play? It's just not fair, he said. He said, if you want to grow up to be a wise old owl, you have to stay up late, said Papa Owl. And besides, I don't give a hoot what time your friends go to bed. In this family, we go to bed late. Well, stay up and play for one more hour, Mama Owl said. Then you can go to sleep. Little Hoot said, one more hour, another hour. So off he went. Here he is again with his blanket. He's still mad, and he says, when I grow up, I'm going to let my kids go to bed as early as they want to. So he went off and he played with his sword. He played on a jungle gym. He built a fort. He even jumped in a big pile of leaves. He jumped on his bed and he said, can I stop playing now? And Mama Owl said, 10 more minutes, mister, and don't ask me again. So he walked off. He spent 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes. He come through the door and said, there, I played for 1 whole hour. Now can I go to bed? Yes, you can. Go to bed. Off Little Hoot flew, and he flew right into his bed. Mama Owl said, but wait, what about your bedtime story? And Papa Owl said, don't forget your glass of water. But it was too late. What do you think happened, guys? Oh no, Little Hoot had already fallen fast asleep, snoozing and snoring and drooling. This is my favorite part. So they tucked in his feathers and they gave him a peck on the cheek, and the owl lived happily ever after. Isn't that a great little story, guys? Again, I want to thank the Breaks Park, Ronnie and the staff up here. You guys are doing a great job. Looking forward to a big summer with you. Let's give them all a big round of applause, guys. That's all I have, guys, for you. Thank you so much for coming today. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
How we do, Jay?